Buckle up, everyone, because we're about to head to a small town called Hebden Bridge. It was a quiet place until one night in November 1994 that changed everything. A young girl named Lindsay Jo Reimer, full of life and dreams, vanished into thin air. She just left home for a quick errand, but never came back.
At around 10 p.m. on Monday the 7th of November 1994, 13-year-old schoolgirl Lindsay Jo Reimer left her house here on Cambridge Street, Hebden Bridge, to walk the short distance to the local shop on Crown Street to buy some cornflakes. She never returned home, and her body was found 5 months later in the Rochdale Canal. She'd been murdered. Despite repeated appeals since then, her killer remains at large and the crime unsolved. I desperately want to close this case and bring closure to Lindsay's grieving family.
Hey guys! Welcome back to your go-to place of dark and captivating true crime stories. We're here at Crimeco to unearth the mysteries that haunt us all, bringing you the stories that'll leave you intrigued. If you dig our content, hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. It helps us keep bringing the chills. Now, grab a drink, snuggle up, and get ready to crack open another crazy case with your favorite crew. Alright then, let's dive in. Hebden Bridge. Nestled in a cozy valley in Yorkshire, it's a picture-perfect town. Cobblestone streets, cute shops, and friendly faces, the kind of place that makes you feel right at home. But beneath the charm lies a dark secret. This is where the story of Lindsay Jo Reimer takes place. A young girl, full of life, vanished without a trace. The peaceful Rochdale Canal that runs through town turned into a hiding place for something terrible. Lindsay's body was found there, just a stone's throw from the town center. It's a sickening reminder that evil can strike anywhere, even in the most beautiful places. The Trades Club, a local pub, became an important piece of the puzzle. It was here that Lindsay last saw her mom, not knowing it would be their final goodbye. And the Spar supermarket, just around the corner from her house, was where she was headed on her last errand. Every familiar spot in Hebden Bridge suddenly felt different, like a piece of evidence waiting to be uncovered. The town that once felt safe was now shaken. This case showed everyone that even in a picture-perfect place, darkness can hide around the corner. At 13, Lindsay Jo Reimer was a firecracker, all smiles, laughter, and dreams. She was the apple of her parents' eyes, a great big sister who always had your back, and a student who tackled school with a passion that put most adults to shame. At home, Lindsay was a whirlwind of energy, filling the house with her quirky jokes and infectious laughter. School was a breeze for her. Teachers loved her smarts and her dedication. But outside the classroom, she was just a normal kid. She devoured books, getting lost in fantastical worlds, and loved exploring the beautiful Yorkshire countryside with her friends. No one could have imagined this bright light would be snuffed out so quickly. Losing Lindsay left a gaping hole in her family's hearts, a wound that time wouldn't heal. Her disappearance shattered the peace of their small town, leaving everyone with a chilling sense of unease. Lindsay Jo Reimer was born in 1981 to Michael and Jerry, the youngest of four with two older sisters, Katie and Emma, and a brother, Daniel. They lived on Cambridge Street, right in the heart of Hebden Bridge. It was a noisy, happy house filled with laughter and the chaos that comes with a bunch of kids. Even as a little one, Lindsay was curious about everything. She was always asking questions, wanting to know how things worked and why the sky was blue. Her parents remember her endless, wise, and her determination to figure things out. As she got older, Lindsay became a bookworm. You'd often find her curled up somewhere, completely lost in a story. Books were like magic portals for her, taking her to new worlds and letting her imagination run wild. But Lindsay wasn't all about quiet time. She had a ton of friends and was known as the life of the party. Her smile was contagious, and she had a way of making everyone feel special. At school, Lindsay was a good student. She got good grades and impressed her teachers with how hard she worked. She especially loved English and writing, where she could really show off her creativity. Outside of school, Lindsay loved being outdoors. She'd hike, bike, or just have picnics with friends, soaking up the beauty of her hometown. Lindsay's future was bright, full of possibilities. But that future was stolen from her in the worst way possible. It was a normal Monday night in November 1994 for the Reimer family. Around 10 p.m., Lindsay headed out for a quick errand, just a box of cornflakes from the Spar supermarket down the street. Nothing crazy, right? Except for Lindsay, this simple trip would turn into a nightmare that would rip through the hearts of her family and scar their town forever. First, she stopped by the Trades Club on Holmes Street to see her mom, Jerry. Jerry was having a drink with a friend and offered Lindsay a soda. But Lindsay politely declined, eager to get home with those cornflakes. This would be the last time Jerry would ever see her daughter alive. Security cameras at the Spar caught Lindsay buying the cereal at 10:22 p.m. She even had a smile on her face, completely unaware of the darkness that awaited her. As she walked out of the store and into the night, Lindsay vanished without a trace. When Lindsay didn't come home that night, her family figured she was at a friend's house. But by morning, she hadn't shown up for her paper route, and that's when the panic set in. A massive search kicked off, with police and volunteers scouring every inch of Hebden Bridge. Days turned into weeks, and still no sign of Lindsay. Rumors started to fly. Maybe she ran away? But her family wouldn't hear of it. Lindsay was happy she wouldn't just disappear. The investigation grew darker with each passing day. They searched the canals and rivers, Lindsay's usual route home, but came up empty. Then, on April 12, 1995, something came to light that would change everything. Almost 5 months of searching, hoping, and praying turned into a nightmare on April 12, 1995. 2 guys working on the Rochdale Canal, just doing their jobs, stumbled on something awful. There, in the murky water near Rawdon Mill Lock, over a mile from town, was Lindsay Jo Reimer. Lifeless. It was a punch to the gut for everyone. The happy, bright girl they desperately wanted back was gone. The worst part? She was weighed down with a concrete block hidden away in the canal. This wasn't just sad, it was evil. How did Lindsay end up so far off course? And who, in their right mind, would do this to a kid? The investigation kicked into high gear. An autopsy revealed she'd been strangled, but there were no signs of anything else. This wasn't a random attack. The pieces started to fit. Whoever did this probably knew Lindsay, someone she trusted. The spot where they found her body was near a factory with bad security. The killer knew the area well, knew where they could hide a body. The police admitted they messed up. They'd searched parts of the canal, but missed the spot where Lindsay was all along. A mistake they wouldn't soon forget. Finding Lindsay's body lit a fire under the investigation. They had a killer on the loose, someone who took a young girl's life and got away with it. The town was heartbroken, and the hunt for justice was on. We'll never know exactly what happened after Lindsay left the Spar that night, but detectives pieced together a chilling theory. Imagine this. Lindsay's walking home, maybe a little chilly. Then, a friendly face pulls up in a car, offering a ride. Someone she knew, someone she trusted. Makes sense, right? Better than walking alone in the dark. Except this good deed was a trap. This person wasn't being kind, they had something dark in mind. Maybe they pretended to be a friend, maybe they used some other lie. Either way, Lindsay gets in the car, completely unaware of the danger. The person might have suggested a quick detour, something harmless that Lindsay wouldn't suspect. That's when things turned awful. Investigators believe this is when the real motive came out. Maybe the person panicked, maybe they were just evil. Whatever it was, Lindsay realized the danger. Imagine her terror. Fighting back, pleading, but there was no escape. Her bright future, her whole life, stolen in a heartbeat. The killer didn't stop there. They weighed Lindsay down with a concrete block and dumped her body in a secluded part of the canal. Someone who knew the area well, someone who thought they'd gotten away with it. The thought of someone Lindsay trusted doing something so horrific, it's enough to send shivers down your spine. The search for answers continued, but one thing was clear: a beautiful young life was gone, and her memory would forever haunt this town. Lindsay's death was a blow to the gut for everyone. The police wouldn't rest. They were determined to find her killer, no matter how long it took. One big clue: a red Honda Civic. This car, stolen just the night before Lindsay vanished, kept popping up around town. The driver, a man with a beard, vanished too. Adding to the creep factor, this guy apparently tried to chat up some of Lindsay's friends around the same time. It was enough to send shivers down everyone's spine. 2 months after Lindsay's body was found, the police released grainy CCTV footage from the spar. Maybe someone in the video recognized something, anything that could help. After all, any detail could be the key to cracking the case. As time wore on, new ideas started popping up. One theory suggested Lindsay might have run into her killer just a few days before her murder at the town's bonfire celebration. The police pleaded with anyone who saw something strange that night to come forward, even if it seemed unimportant. Every shred of information could be crucial. The search for Lindsay's killer wasn't just local anymore. Operation Enigma, a giant investigation into unsolved murders of hundreds of women across Britain, took a look at Lindsay's case too. No connections were found, but it showed how determined everyone was to find justice for Lindsay. Over the years, they looked at a bunch of suspects, including some truly awful people like John Taylor, who murdered Leanne Tiernan, and John Oswin, a convicted rapist. But none of the leads panned out. Then, in 2016, there was a glimmer of hope. New forensic technology helped them develop a DNA profile of the killer. They still didn't know who it was, but this was a huge step forward. Maybe finally, they could find the person who tore so many lives apart. A couple of years later, they even arrested some suspects. Unfortunately, they had to be released, but it sent a message: they wouldn't give up on Lindsay. For the police, this wasn't just another case file. It was personal. Lindsay's death left a huge scar on the community, and they were determined to find answers. They wouldn't let her story fade away, no matter how long it took. As more time passed without a culprit, the Lindsay Reimer case turned into a giant puzzle for everyone to obsess over. People who were super into true crime and figuring things out dove headfirst into the mystery, trying to crack the code. One wild theory connected Lindsay's death to a serial killer named Tony King. The police shut that down fast, but it still freaked everyone out. The idea that such an evil person could be behind Lindsay's murder was just too much to bear. Another theory came from a crime writer named Wensley Clarkson. He pointed the finger at Francisco Arce Montes, a guy who killed another teenager in France. Clarkson's book claimed Montes was on some kind of sick, hunting trip through England when he ran into Lindsay. Lindsay's mom wasn't buying it though, and there wasn't much proof to back it up. Then there was a theory that hit a bit closer to home. A retired detective from a nearby town, John Matthews, spoke up. He thought the police should have looked harder at a man he'd questioned before, someone with connections to Hebden Bridge and maybe even the Reimer family itself. The idea that Lindsay's killer could be someone she knew, someone close, was terrifying. It made the whole thing even harder to deal with. Now, it's important to remember these were just theories, ideas people came up with to try and understand something awful. Without real proof, they were just stories. But for the people who loved Lindsay and for everyone in Hebden Bridge, each theory was a tiny spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, it could lead to the truth. Even if none of them panned out, they showed one thing: nobody was forgetting Lindsay. Her memory was a flame that wouldn't go out, and the search for her killer would never stop. Decades have passed since Lindsay Jo Reimer's light was stolen. The pain of her loss still hangs heavy over Hebden Bridge, a constant reminder of the young life cut short. The police haven't given up. New technology in 2016 gave them a DNA profile of the killer, a fingerprint that could crack the case wide open. All they need is a match. For Lindsay's family, the ache never goes away. Every birthday, every graduation, it's a fresh reminder of what they lost. But even in their grief, there's a flicker of hope. Maybe someday the truth will come out. Lindsay's memory is woven into the fabric of Hebden Bridge. It's a constant reminder to never give up hope. Every new lead, every theory, is a tiny spark that keeps the fire of the investigation burning. For the police, this isn't just a case anymore. It's a promise. A promise to find justice for Lindsay, to bring some light back to this town that's been shrouded in darkness for far too long. The search continues, fueled by a belief that even if it takes forever, the truth will come out. Lindsay's story deserves an ending, and no one will let her memory fade. It's about more than just finding a killer. It's about honoring a life gone too soon, a promise whispered in the wind that Lindsay's light will never truly be extinguished. Alright guys, that's all for this chilling case. Before you head out and lock your doors extra tight tonight, don't forget to hit that like button. It lets us know you're spooked in a good way and keeps the creepy cases coming your way. And hey, while you're at it, smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. You wouldn't want to miss our next dive into the mysterious unknown, right? We've got a whole archive of unsolved mysteries and head-scratchers waiting to be explored. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the shadows. We'll see you on the flip side for another mind-blowing case. Until then, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, the truth is always out there, just waiting to be found.